I 32 male, got laid off and my girlfriend 28 female dumped me via text. 6 weeks later she saw my new car and wanted me back. I'm still processing this, so bear with me if this gets long. I'm a construction engineer, specifically a project manager for a mid-sized infrastructure company. Been there 4 years, good performance reviews, decent salary. Nothing flashy but stable. My girlfriend Jennifer worked as a loan officer at a regional bank. We'd been together about a year and a half, talking seriously about getting engaged, looking at places to rent together. Jennifer was always very, let's say, financially aware. She talked about credit scores, investment portfolios, retirement planning. At first I thought it was responsible, She wanted security. I respected that. But looking back, there were signs I missed. She'd make comments about my coworkers' salaries, ask pointed questions about my bonus structure, compare our combined income to other couples we knew. 3 months ago, I started noticing things at work. Projects were getting delayed, clients were pulling contracts. The usual office small talk had this nervous edge to it. I've been through corporate restructuring before, and I know the signs. So I quietly updated my resume, reached out to my network, started taking interviews during lunch breaks. I didn't tell Jennifer because I didn't want to worry her until I knew something concrete. 2 weeks before everything went down, I had a final interview with a structural design firm I'd been courting for a month. Smaller company, but they do high-profile work, lots of innovative projects. The interview went incredibly well. They made me a verbal offer right there. Senior structural project lead, salary bump of about 35%, 3 days remote per week, better benefits package. I was supposed to get the formal offer letter within the week. About 8 weeks ago, on a Thursday morning, I got called into a conference room. HR and my director were already sitting there with folders. You know that feeling in your gut? I had it before they even started talking. Company lost 2 major contracts. They were eliminating 15% of white-collar positions. My role was being restructured. Standard corporate speak. They were apologetic, professional. I was shocked but not surprised. The severance package was actually pretty generous. 16 weeks of salary plus my accrued PTO, which came out to about $200K after taxes, plus my $401K rollover and 6 months of continued health insurance. They were clearly trying to avoid wrongful termination suits. I sat in my car in the parking lot for about 20 minutes just breathing. Then I texted Jennifer, I just got laid off. I'll come over tonight and we can talk through everything. I expected concern, maybe some worry. I figured we'd talk about my severance, my job search plans, how this affects our future. I was literally sitting in the parking lot planning how to reassure her that I'd be fine. Her reply came 30 minutes later. First text, "Are you serious?" Second text, "I can't believe this is happening." Then nothing for another 10 minutes. I was driving home by then. Then the flood started. I don't think I can be in a relationship with someone who's unemployed at 32. I need to be with someone who has their career together, not someone starting over. I've worked too hard to build financial stability to risk it on someone without a job. And then the kicker, I can't gamble my future on an unemployed loser. Consider this a breakup. I hope you figure your life out. I had to pull over to read those messages. Just sat there in my truck, staring at my phone. This woman I'd been planning a future with, who'd met my parents, who I'd been saving for a ring for, called me an unemployed loser. On the worst day of my professional life. I didn't call her, didn't beg, just typed back, "Thanks for showing me where I really stood with you." When I got home, I opened my email. The offer letter was sitting right there in my inbox. Senior structural project lead. Base salary increase of 35%. Annual performance bonus structure. Start date in 3 weeks. I sat there for a long time, reading that email over and over. Then I called my buddy Marcus, who's a financial advisor. We spent 2 hours on the phone mapping out what to do with the severance. Pay off my credit cards and car loan completely, build a 6 to 9 month emergency fund, invest the rest for a future down payment. Set myself up properly. The next 3 weeks were probably the best unemployment anyone's ever had. I took my signed offer letter, gave myself permission to actually rest. hit the gym every morning, visited my parents for a week, started an online project management certification course I'd been putting off, meal prepped, got 8 hours of sleep every night, zero contact with Jennifer. 3 days after I started my new job, I updated my LinkedIn, excited to announce I'm starting as Senior Structural Project Lead at company. The responses were incredible. Old colleagues congratulating me, new coworkers welcoming me. A few people from Jennifer's circle saw it too. Last week, I used some of my severance to buy a new car. Nothing crazy, but a really nice hybrid SUV that I'd been eyeing for a year. Paid cash, no loan. I was driving it out of the supermarket parking lot when I passed Jennifer and her friend Amy loading groceries. They both stopped and stared at the car, then at me. I just gave a polite nod and kept driving. That night around 10 p.m. my phone buzzed. Jennifer, hey, I've been thinking a lot about us. I believe in second chances, you know. Maybe we just hit a rough patch. Everyone goes through stuff. I think we could make it work if we both tried. I stared at that message for a long time, then I typed my response. I hit send, and I'm pretty sure I destroyed any chance she thought she still had with me. Update 1. Thanks for all the messages and support. A lot of you wanted to know what I said to Jennifer after her second chances text. I'm going to share that, plus something else I found out that honestly made me feel like I dodged a nuclear missile. So after Jennifer sent that message about rough patches and second chances, I sat with my response for about an hour. I wanted to be clear but not cruel. Here's exactly what I sent. I believe in second chances too. That's why I gave myself one. My life is significantly better without you in it. I won't go back to someone who called me an unemployed loser when I needed support, then only came around after seeing I upgraded. That says everything I need to know about your priorities. She read it immediately. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then nothing. No response. I thought that was the end of it. Closure achieved, moving on with my life. But then about 4 days later, I got a message from Megan, one of our mutual friends from Jennifer's social circle. We'd always been friendly but not super close. Megan, Noah, I don't know if I should show you this, but I think you need to see what she's been saying about you. She sent me screenshots from a group chat with about 8 women, including Jennifer. The messages were from the week after our breakup when I was supposedly just sitting at home unemployed. Here's what Jennifer told them. Girls, I finally had to pull the plug on Noah. I feel so relieved. The man had zero ambition, just wanted to coast in his mediocre job forever. I need someone who's going places. I've actually been talking to this doctor I met through the bank. Makes twice what Noah does. He's taking me to this amazing restaurant this weekend. Someone asked if she felt bad about the timing right after I lost my job. Jennifer's response, honestly, the layoff was just confirmation of what I already knew. He's the kind of guy who's fine being comfortable. He's a plan B guy, not a plan A. I want someone with drive. Another friend asked what I'd said when she broke up with me. Jennifer, oh, he was just like thanks for showing your priorities or something passive-aggressive like that. Very typical of his low ambition energy. But this is me being brave and not settling for mediocrity. There were more messages, but you get the idea. She'd completely rewritten the story to make herself look like some empowered woman escaping a dead-weight relationship, not someone who dumped me via text calling me a loser on literally the worst day of my career. The kicker. Megan told me that the whole group had been sympathizing with Jennifer, taking her out for drinks, hyping her up about how she deserves better. Until my LinkedIn update went live. Suddenly a few of them started asking questions. Megan, we all thought you were actually broke and unemployed with no prospects. We didn't know you'd already lined up another job. She kind of edited that part out of the story. I'm really sorry we believed her version without hearing from you. I appreciated Megan's honesty. I sent back, thanks for letting me know, but honestly, I'm good. I'm not interested in going back, so you don't need to worry about that. But the universe wasn't done with me yet. A week after Megan sent those screenshots, Jennifer texted me again. This time it was longer, more calculated. Noah, I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I'm building a high-income client base at the bank now, working with people in your industry actually. I was thinking, we could be a real power couple. You with your senior engineering position, me handling the financial strategy side. We could be so good together. I was wrong to react the way I did. Can we meet for coffee? I read it twice. This wasn't an apology. This was a pitch. She literally tried to sell me on us like I was a potential business investment, like she'd run the numbers and decided I was suddenly worth the risk. My response was short. I don't need a power couple. I need a partner who won't bail when things get hard. You're not that person. Please don't contact me again. This time she replied, "You're making a mistake. We were good together, me. No, you were good while I was useful. I'm just finally good enough for you now that my income meets your standards. That's not love. Goodbye, Jennifer." She read it but didn't respond. I blocked her number right after. I really hoped that would be the final end of this. No more drama, no more texts, clean break. I can focus on my new job, my new life, and forget this whole mess. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, I'm doing really well. The new job is challenging but great. No, I'm not interested in revenge or making her life difficult. I just want to be left alone to live my life. The doctor she mentioned. According to Megan, he ghosted her after 3 dates. Apparently he figured out real quick what kind of person she was. Update 2. So I thought I was done with Jennifer after blocking her number. 10 months went by. 10 months of absolute radio silence, no drama, just me living my life. I got settled into my new job, got praised for my work on 2 major projects, built up my savings even more with the severance money invested smart. Life was genuinely good. I'd been thinking about buying property for a while, not just as a place to live, but as an investment. I found this duplex in a solid neighborhood, nothing fancy but well-maintained, good bones. The plan was to live in one unit and rent out the other, start building real equity. The rent from the other side would basically cover most of my mortgage. I talked to my financial advisor buddy Marcus, ran all the numbers, got pre-approved for a mortgage. Everything looked great. My credit score was excellent, my income was strong. I had a 20% down payment ready in cash. The bank I got pre-approved through said they'd assign a loan officer to my file and I should come in to sign papers and finalize everything. I got an email. Your loan officer is Jennifer M. Please schedule an appointment at the branch. I stared at that email for a solid 5 minutes. What were the odds? I almost requested a different loan officer, but then I thought, you know what? No, I have nothing to hide. This is purely professional. I'm buying a house. She's doing her job. We're adults. I showed up at the branch on a Wednesday afternoon. The receptionist directed me to a desk in the corner. I sat down, got my documents out, and looked up. Jennifer looked up at the same time. Her face went completely blank for about 2 seconds. I watched her process it, surprise, then something like panic, then forced professionalism. She recovered fast, I'll give her that. "No, hi, I'll be handling your loan application today." Her voice was perfectly neutral, like she was reading from a script. "Jennifer." I matched her tone. "Let's get started." She pulled up my file on her computer and I watched her eyes scan the screen. I knew what she was seeing. My current income, my credit score, my savings, my down payment amount, my debt-to-income ratio. All of it was right there in black and white. Her expression didn't change, but I saw her swallow hard. The meeting was probably the most professionally uncomfortable hour of my life. She went through every document, asked the standard questions, verified everything. She was completely professional. No personal comments, no deviation from the script. But I could see it in her eyes every time she looked at a number on the screen. This was the unemployed loser she dumped. Sitting across from her, buying an investment property, putting down 20% cash, with an income that would easily qualify him for much more. While she, according to Megan, still lived in a shared apartment with a roommate because of student loan debt. The documents required a lot of signatures. While I was signing one of them, she tried to make small talk. "You look good, you're doing well, I'm happy for you." I looked up. "I'm doing fine, exactly like you hoped. I figured my life out." She gave this weird, forced laugh. I know I said some things that were harsh that day. If you're open to it, I'd like to actually apologize, for real. I put down the pen. I hear you, but here's the thing, Jennifer, I don't forget. Once someone tells you that you're only valuable when your income is high enough, you remember that forever. That's not. I didn't mean, yes, you did. You called me an unemployed loser via text on the day I lost my job. Those were your exact words. She looked down at the desk. I was scared about my own financial situation. I didn't handle it well. You handled it exactly the way you meant to. You made a calculation about my worth and I didn't meet your standards. That's fine. We're all allowed to have standards, but I also get to remember what yours were. We finished the paperwork in silence after that. I signed everything, thanked her professionally, shook her hand like she was just another bank employee, because that's all she was to me now. As I was leaving, I heard the printer behind her desk. She was printing my Welcome to Homeownership Congratulations package, the same kind of milestone she'd once told me we couldn't reach together because I wasn't stable enough. She had to print that for me. Officially congratulate me for achieving something she said I'd never do. I walked out of that bank and sat in my car for a few minutes, not because I was upset but because I was relieved. Seeing her, talking to her, sitting across from her while she processed my financial success, it didn't hurt anymore. It just felt like proof that I'd made the right choice. The house closed 3 weeks later. I moved into one unit, got a tenant in the other within a month. The rental income covers about 75% of my mortgage. I bought furniture, set up my home office for remote work days, adopted a dog from the shelter. A 3-year-old lab mix named Murphy who's currently asleep on my couch. I thought that was truly the end of the Jennifer story. We'd had our weird, uncomfortable professional interaction. I'd gotten my house. Life was moving forward. But apparently Jennifer had one more card to play. And this time she decided to play it publicly. Next update coming soon. Final update. Okay, so this is going to be the final update because this situation has finally actually completely ended. And it ended in a way I honestly didn't expect. It's been about a year since the bank meeting. I've been living in my duplex, renting out the other unit, just doing my thing. Work's been great. Actually got a promotion to principal project lead 3 months ago with another nice salary bump. Murphy the dog is thriving. And I started dating someone. Her name's Lena. She's an elementary school teacher, 4th grade. We met at a coffee shop when she was grading papers and I was working on a project proposal. She started asking me about structural engineering because apparently her class was doing a unit on bridges and we ended up talking for 2 hours. I asked her out the next week. When I told her about the whole Jennifer situation on our 4th date because I figured she should know, her response was simple. That must have hurt a lot. Are you okay now? Not, what was your salary when she left you? Not, how much do you make now? Just, are you okay? That's when I knew Lena was different. We're taking things slow, no rush to move in together or get engaged, but it's healthy. It's good. It's what a relationship should feel like. So I genuinely thought the Jennifer chapter of my life was completely closed. Then 2 weeks ago, Megan tagged me in a TikTok video. The video was from a women and money brunch event at some bougie restaurant downtown. Jennifer was one of 3 guest speakers on a panel. The topic was financial red flags in dating, protecting your future. I almost didn't watch it, but curiosity got the better of me. Jennifer's segment was about 8 minutes long. She told a story about her ex-boyfriend who lost his job and expected her to support him financially and emotionally through his unemployment. According to her version, I was unemployed for almost 6 months. It was 3 weeks. I was borrowing money from her regularly. Never happened. I was pressuring her to co-sign on an apartment lease while I had no income. We were already talking about moving in before I even got laid off. She had to sacrifice her own dream of buying property because she was propping up someone who refused to take their job search seriously. She knew nothing about my job search because I hadn't told her about my offer yet. She finally found the courage to end things and chose her own financial future. Every single detail was either exaggerated, distorted, or completely made up. But it all sounded just believable enough that the audience was nodding along, applauding her brave choice. The comments under the video were exactly what you'd expect. "You go girl. Know your worth. This is why women need to vet men carefully." Megan messaged me right after sending the video. "This is insane. Are you going to say something?" I'll be honest, my first instinct was to go nuclear. Post the screenshots of her unemployed loser text, the timeline showing I had my new job lined up before she even broke up with me, the receipts from the house purchase. Blast her lies all over social media. Make sure everyone knew the truth. But then I thought about it for a day. I didn't need to burn her life down publicly. I didn't need viral revenge. What I needed was for the people who actually mattered, the people in our mutual social circle who might actually encounter her again, to know the truth. So I sent a very simple package of information to about 6 people, Megan and a few other mutual friends who'd been in that original group chat, people who Jennifer might try to network through, professionally or socially, people who deserved to know who they were dealing with. The package contained screenshot of the unemployed loser text messages with timestamps, screenshot of my job offer email showing the date I received it before the breakup, screenshot of my LinkedIn update showing when I started 3 weeks after the layoff, screenshot of the duplex closing documents with date, a brief note. She's free to tell whatever story she wants about her life. But since she's now telling versions that involve me, I wanted you to have the actual timeline. What you want to do with this is up to you. I didn't post it publicly, didn't make a call-out video, didn't tag her, just sent it to a small group of people who knew both of us and left it at that. According to Megan, the effects were pretty immediate but quiet. 2 of the women in that original group chat unfriended Jennifer on social media. One of them apparently sent Jennifer a message, directly asking her to stop using her name as networking reference. People didn't publicly call her out or create drama, they just quietly distanced themselves. Jennifer's whole empowerment speaker angle kind of deflated after that. She deleted the TikTok about a week later. Her Instagram went private. The brunch organization didn't invite her back for their next event. She's not destroyed. She still has her job, still has her life. But her credibility in that social circle, her ability to use our story as her empowerment narrative, that's done. People know now that she's willing to distort the truth to make herself look better. And when you lose your credibility, especially in a relatively small professional network, that follows you. Last week, I noticed a new message request in my Instagram DMs. It was from Jennifer. I saw some people pulled away from me after that brunch event. If this is about you and me, I wish you'd at least talk to me directly instead of whatever you did behind my back. I didn't reply. I'm not going to reply, because here's the thing I've realized. She still doesn't get it. She thinks this is about me being vindictive or getting revenge. She doesn't understand that actions have consequences. That you can't call someone an unemployed loser at their lowest point, then try to come back when they've rebuilt, then publicly lie about them for sympathy points and expect no one to care about the truth. I didn't do anything to her. I just made sure people knew the truth. That's not revenge, that's just reality. But I don't owe her that explanation. She can figure it out or not. It's not my problem anymore, so that's where it ends. I'm living in my duplex with Murphy, dating Lena and taking things at a healthy pace, got promoted at work. My rental unit has a great tenant who just renewed for another year. I'm taking a welding class on weekends because I've always wanted to learn metalwork. Life is genuinely, honestly good. A few people have asked if I regret how I handled everything. The truth? No, I don't regret refusing to take her back. I don't regret blocking her. I don't regret sending those receipts to mutual friends. And I definitely don't regret not responding to that last message. She texted, "I believe in second chances," when she saw my new car and my new job. But the real answer wasn't the message I sent back. It wasn't even the receipts I shared. The real answer is the life I'm living now. Very good, very full, and completely without her in it. Thanks for following this mess, Reddit. I'm out. My girlfriend of 2.5 years took money from my mother and disappeared. I don't know who to hate more. I need to get this off my chest because I'm losing my mind. I've been with Taylor for 2.5 years. We moved in together after a year, split all our bills down the middle, kept our finances completely separate. She's an urban planner. I run a mid-sized logistics company I co-founded with a friend from college. Here's the thing nobody really knew about me except close friends. My family has money, like old money. My dad's a partner at a major investment fund. My mom sits on boards for art museums and charity galas. But I've never wanted that life. I built my company from scratch without touching a cent from them. I never made a big deal about my family's wealth to Taylor. When we first started dating, I downplayed it. Yeah, my parents are comfortable kind of thing. I didn't take her to their events, didn't parade her around the country club scene. Part of it was protecting her from that world, honestly. My parents can be judgmental. Part of it was protecting what we had. Our relationship felt real, built on actual connection, not money or status. Taylor was always weird about money anyway. In a good way, I thought. She insisted on paying for her half of everything. When I tried to buy her nice birthday presents, she'd get uncomfortable. "That's too much, Louie," she'd say. "I can't accept this." I thought it was sweet. She had this fierce independence about her. Her parents were blue-collar workers, her dad worked construction, her mom was a school cafeteria manager. She put herself through college and grad school. She never once asked me about my family's money, never tried to benefit from it. About 4 months ago, things started getting serious between us. I was thinking about proposing. I'd already looked at rings. But I knew I needed to tell my parents first because they'd been making pointed comments about me settling down properly for years. When I told them I was planning to propose to Taylor, the reaction was worse than I expected. My mother literally went pale. "Louie, you can't be serious," she said. "That girl is not from our world." My dad was more measured but equally against it. "Son, you need to think about this rationally. What does she bring to this union? What's her family background?" I told them I loved her and their opinions on her background didn't matter to me. We had a huge fight. My mom got emotional, said I was throwing away my future, that Taylor would never fit into our family. I left angry and didn't talk to them for 2 weeks. Then about 3 weeks ago, my mother called me. Her voice was different, calm, collected. "Louie, I may have been too harsh. I'd like to get to know Taylor better. Could I take her to lunch, just the two of us?" I was suspicious but hopeful. Maybe she was actually coming around. When I mentioned it to Taylor, she looked nervous as hell, but she agreed. They met for lunch on a Thursday. Taylor came home that evening and seemed quiet. When I asked how it went, she just said, "It was fine. Your mom is elegant." We had dinner, watched TV, went to bed. Normal night. Friday morning, I woke up and she was gone. Her clothes, her toiletries, her laptop, her books, everything, all gone. She'd moved out in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. She left her key on the kitchen counter. No note, nothing. Just one text message sent at 4:47 a.m. "I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore." I tried calling her immediately. Straight to voicemail. Texted her, delivered, but no response. Drove to her office. Her coworkers said she'd called in her resignation this morning, effective immediately. I contacted her 2 close friends. They seemed genuinely shocked and said they hadn't heard from her. She'd vanished. Like our entire relationship had just been erased overnight. I was devastated, confused, angry. I couldn't understand what had happened. Had my mother said something so terrible at that lunch that Taylor felt she had to run? Or had Taylor been looking for an excuse to leave and finally found one? I spent 2 weeks barely functioning. Calling out of work, not eating, just trying to figure out what the hell had happened. My business partner finally staged an intervention and told me I needed to talk to someone. Then, last Tuesday, I was having dinner with my cousin Marcus. He's close with my family but has always been more on my side of things. After a few drinks, he got this uncomfortable look on his face. "Louie, man, I don't know if I should tell you this," he said. "But Aunt Margaret mentioned something at the club last week. She was having drinks with some of her friends and I overheard her talking about Taylor." My stomach dropped. "What did she say?" Marcus looked miserable. "She was laughing about it. She said, 'I told Louie that girl was only after one thing and I was right. It took exactly one check to make her disappear.'" I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. What? I'm sorry, man. I pressed her about it later and she admitted it. She offered Taylor money to leave you. A lot of money, apparently, and Taylor took it. I confronted my mother the next day. She didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. I did what I had to do to protect you, she said simply. I offered her money to walk away and she accepted. That tells you everything you need to know about her character, doesn't it? Everyone thought she was so principled, so independent, but in the end she was just like everyone else. She saw an opportunity and she took it. I haven't spoken to my mother since. I've barely spoken to my father, who apparently knew about the whole thing and supported it. But here's what's destroying me. I don't know what to feel about Taylor. Part of me wants to believe she was forced into an impossible situation, but she took the money. After 2.5 years together, after all those times she insisted on paying her own way, after all her talk about not being that kind of person, she took a payoff to leave me. Like I meant nothing to her. I keep thinking about all those moments when she seemed so genuine, so real. Was it all an act? Was she just waiting for the right price? I don't know who I'm more angry at, my mother for being cruel enough to buy her off, or Taylor for being weak enough to take the deal. I feel like an idiot, like I was played. 2.5 years of my life with someone who apparently had a price tag. Has anyone else been through something like this? How do you move on when you don't even know if what you had was real? Edit. Thanks for all the comments. Some of you are saying that I should find out how much money we're talking about. I asked my mother yesterday and she refused to tell me, just kept saying, enough to reveal her true nature. I tried to check if Taylor had any large deposits recently through a mutual bank we both used for a shared expense account. We kept it for utilities, but she'd already closed it. I'm trying not to become obsessed with the number, but part of me needs to know exactly what I was worth to her. Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since my original post. I thought I'd feel better by now, but I don't. If anything, I feel worse. I confronted my mother again 2 days after my first post. This time, I didn't let her deflect. I told her I needed to know exactly what happened at that lunch, word for word, and exactly how much money she offered. My mother has this way of being coldly honest when she knows she's already won. She sat in her pristine living room, had the housekeeper bring her tea, and laid it all out like she was describing a successful business transaction. I took her to the garden room, she said. That's this upscale restaurant where all the society ladies have lunch. I wanted her to see that world, let her understand what she'd be stepping into if she stayed with you. According to my mother, she spent the first half of lunch being perfectly polite, asking Taylor about her work, her family, her interests. I wanted to see if she'd pretend to be something she wasn't, Mom said, but to her credit, she didn't. She was exactly who she appeared to be, a middle-class girl with middle-class values. Then came the money talk. Mom told Taylor straight up, "My son thinks he's in love with you, and perhaps in his way he is. But Louis doesn't understand the realities of the world he was born into. If you marry him, you'll always be the outsider. His friends will be polite to your face and pity him behind his back. And eventually that will poison what you have." Taylor apparently tried to argue that we didn't care about that world, that we were building our own life. My mother laughed when she recounted this part. "That's when I knew I had her," Mom said. She was defensive. She already felt it, that sense of not belonging, so I made it explicit. My mother offered her $200,000, cash. Tax-free, if Taylor would end the relationship and disappear from my life. $200,000. That's what our relationship was worth. Mom told Taylor to think about it for 48 hours, but apparently it didn't take her that much time to make her decision. I left her house feeling worse than when I arrived. I managed to find out more about what Taylor did after she left. Through some mutual connections, I learned that she quit her job, which we knew, moved out of state, blocked my number and blocked me on all social media, told her close friends she needed to start over but gave no details. She didn't just take the money and disappear, she scorched earth, erased me from her life like I never existed. Like our entire relationship was something she wanted to forget as quickly as possible. I also found out, through my business partner who has friends in the planning department, that Taylor had formally withdrawn from that affordable housing project she'd spent 3 years developing. She was the lead planner, had all the community relationships, had fought for years to get it funded and approved, and she just walked away from it. Why would she do that? If money was tight, wouldn't finishing that project have been good for her career? And why didn't Taylor come to me? I have my own money. I could have helped her. It doesn't make sense unless she was so eager to take my mother's money and start over that she didn't care what she left behind. Part of me keeps trying to make excuses for her. Maybe she was overwhelmed. Maybe she thought she was protecting me from having to choose between her and my family. Maybe the pressure was more than anyone should have to bear. But then I remember, she took $200,000 and didn't say a word to me about any of it. That's not love. That's not even respect. That's just giving up. Or maybe it's exactly what my mother said, finally accepting what she was really there for. I've been thinking about all our moments together differently now. Every time she insisted on paying her own way, was that genuine principle or just good acting? When she seemed uncomfortable with expensive gifts, was she really that humble, or was she just waiting for the right offer? When she said she loved me, did she mean it, or was she already calculating what I might be worth to her someday? I think the truth is simpler and harder. She saw an escape route from her middle-class life and took it. My mother just happened to be the one holding the door open. I need to accept that and move on. The woman I thought I knew apparently never existed. Edit. Someone asked what happened to the housing project she abandoned. From what I understand, it's basically stalled now. Without her as the lead planner and without her community relationships, the investors are getting nervous. So yeah, she took the money and left a lot of people hanging. Not just me. Update 2, I don't even know how to start this. I've been sitting here for an hour trying to figure out what to say. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. Everything. 2 days ago, I ran into Taylor's old boss at a conference. His name is David, and he'd been Taylor's supervisor at the planning department. We'd met a few times when I picked Taylor up from work events. When he saw me, he got this really uncomfortable look on his face. We ended up getting coffee, and what he told me changed everything. First, about the housing project. I'd heard it had stalled after Taylor left, and I'd assumed it was just because she'd abandoned it. But David told me what really happened. About a week before Taylor resigned, he said, I got a call from one of our major investors. They didn't say it explicitly, but the message was clear. They were reconsidering their commitment to the project. When I asked why, they mentioned concerns about team alignment and potential conflicts of interest. I didn't understand it at the time. He took a sip of his coffee, looking miserable. Then Taylor came to my office. She was crying, Louis. I'd never seen her cry before. She told me she had to withdraw from the project. She wouldn't tell me why, just kept saying it was for the good of the program. She made me promise to keep the project going without her, to not let it die because of her exit. When I pressed her, she finally said something that stuck with me. There are people who can destroy this with one phone call, and they'll do it if I don't step away. I thought she was being paranoid. Now I think she was being realistic. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? The investor who called me. I looked into it later. The fund is managed by your father's firm, Louis. I felt like I'd been hit. My mother hadn't just offered Taylor money. She'd threatened her career. The project Taylor had spent 3 years building, the community she'd been trying to help, my mother had used it as leverage. She'd made actual moves to create concerns with the investors through my father's connections. But that's not even the worst part. I asked David if he knew where Taylor had gone. He hesitated, then said, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but she asked me to write her a recommendation letter for a graduate program, urban planning master's program at a state school in Colorado. She told me she'd come into some money and was using it to go back to school and help her parents pay off some debts. Her parents. I drove to Taylor's parents' house that same evening. I'd only met them twice. They lived in a modest house about an hour outside the city. The kind of place that's been in the family for decades, probably mortgaged multiple times. When Taylor's mother, Rosa, opened the door and saw me, she immediately started crying. Louis, she said, "Oh, Louis, I'm so sorry." She invited me in. Her husband, Martin, was there too. They both looked devastated to see me. "We told her not to do it," Rosa said, her hands shaking. "We told her we'd find another way, but she wouldn't listen. She said it was her choice to make." That's when they told me everything. Taylor had taken my mother's money, but she didn't keep it for herself. She used $80,000 to pay off her parents' mortgage. They'd been facing foreclosure, something Taylor had never told me because she was too proud to ask for help. She used $40,000 to pay off her own student loans. She used $30,000 to set up a scholarship fund for students from her old neighborhood who wanted to study urban planning. And she used the remaining $50,000 to enroll in a graduate program, because after withdrawing from the housing project, her career in our city was basically dead anyway. My mother had made sure of that. "She came to us the night after she met your mother," Martin told me, his voice rough. "She was so angry. Not at us, not even at your mother, really. She was angry at herself. She said she'd been naive to think she could exist in your world without it destroying her." Rosa grabbed my hand. "She loved you, Louis. She loved you so much. But your mother made her see something she'd been trying to ignore, that as long as she was with you, she'd always be a weapon someone could use against you. Your mother told her that if she really cared about you, she'd leave before she became a liability." "She could have told me," I said, my voice breaking. "We could have figured it out together." "That's what we said," Rosa replied. "But Taylor said if she told you, you'd try to fight your family for her, and she couldn't let you do that. She said you'd already built your business independent from them, and she wouldn't be the reason you burned those bridges completely." I felt like I couldn't breathe. "So she just left." "She said it was the only way to protect both of you," Martin said quietly. "Take the money, use it to build a new life, and remove herself from the equation before your mother could do more damage. She made us promise not to contact you, not to tell you where she'd gone." "Where is she?" I asked. They exchanged a look. Finally, Rosa said, "Boulder, Colorado. She's in a graduate program there. But Louis, she made us swear." "I know," I said. "I know." Before I left, Rosa gave me one more thing. A letter. Taylor had written it the night she left and given it to her mother just in case. I read it in my car. I can't share all of it, it's too personal. But there was one part I keep reading over and over. "I know you'll think I betrayed you by taking the money. Maybe I did. But your mother was right about one thing. I don't belong in your world, and trying to force myself into it would only hurt us both. As long as I'm there, you'll always be vulnerable to someone threatening me, my career, my family. I can't be that weakness for you." The money felt like blood money at first. But then I realized, if I'm going to leave anyway, if that's what's best for both of us, why not take it and do something good with it? Help my parents, fund my education, create opportunities for kids like me, turn something ugly into something useful. I'm not proud of how I left. I'm sorry I didn't have the courage to say goodbye to your face. But I know if I saw you, I'd want to stay. And staying would be selfish. It would be choosing my happiness over your future. I hope someday you can forgive me for not being strong enough to fight for us. I hope you find someone who fits in your world better than I ever could. Someone your family can accept so you never have to choose." I sat in my car outside her parents' house and cried for the first time since she left. Not because she'd betrayed me, because she hadn't. She'd loved me enough to walk away, and I'd been too blind to see it. She didn't sell out our relationship. She sacrificed it to protect me. My mother didn't prove Taylor was a gold digger. She proved that she was willing to destroy a good person to get her way. And Taylor, rather than fight back and risk me getting caught in the crossfire, chose to leave. I don't know what to do with this information. I don't know if I should try to find her. Part of me wants to drive to Boulder right now. Part of me thinks that if she wanted to explain, she would have. She made her choice, even if it was for the wrong reasons. All I know is that I was completely wrong about her, and I need to figure out what to do about my family because I can't just let this go. Final update. It's been 2 months since my last update. A lot has happened. This will probably be my last post about this because I need to start moving forward instead of dissecting the past. First, the family stuff. I cut my parents off completely. Changed my phone number, blocked them on everything, made it clear through my lawyer that any attempt to contact me would be documented. My father tried once through my business partner, wanted to discuss things rationally. I told him there was nothing to discuss. I also found out that my mother had done this before. Not the exact same thing, but close enough. My cousin Marcus told me about an incident 5 years ago with my older brother's girlfriend. Different method, same result. Apparently controlling who her children date is just something my mother does. My brother never talks about it, but he's been married to someone she approves of for 3 years now, and they barely seem happy. I refuse to let that be my life. I removed myself from any business dealings connected to my family's investments. It cost me some opportunities and some money, but my company is still solid. Turns out I'm better at this than I gave myself credit for. I don't need their world or their approval, but what you really want to know about is Taylor. I found her through her graduate program. Sent an email to her student account, figuring she couldn't have blocked that one. I kept it simple. I know what really happened. I know what you did with the money. I know why you left. Can we talk? She didn't respond for 3 days. I'd almost given up when I got a reply. How did you find out? We ended up on a video call. Seeing her face after 3 months felt like getting punched and hugged at the same time. She looked different, shorter hair, tired eyes, but also somehow more settled than I'd seen her in months before she left. Your mom told you, she asked first thing. Eventually, I said, after I pieced together enough to confront her with specifics. We talked for 2 hours. She told me her side of everything, the lunch, the threats, the impossible choice she thought she was making. She told me about going to her parents' house that night, crying so hard she made herself sick. About trying to find another way before accepting that my mother would keep escalating until Taylor's career was destroyed anyway. I thought I was being smart, she said, her voice hollow. Take the money, remove myself from the situation, use it for something good instead of just disappearing with nothing. I thought I was making a sacrifice. Protecting you from having to choose between me and your family. That wasn't your choice to make, I said, probably too harshly. I know that now. She looked away from the camera. I know I should have talked to you, should have trusted us enough to fight together. But Louis, in that moment, I couldn't see a way forward that didn't end with you resenting me. Either for making you cut off your family, or for not being worth the cost of cutting them off. She told me about Boulder, about her program which she loves, about the scholarship fund she'd set up with part of the money. It had already helped 2 students start college, about her parents finally having financial breathing room for the first time in years. I won't apologize for what I did with the money, she said firmly. It was mine to take, even if the circumstances were awful, and I did something good with it, but I will apologize for how I left, for not trusting you enough to have a conversation, for making that choice without you. I told her about cutting off my parents, about restructuring my business, about finally understanding that I'd been letting them have too much influence over my life even while I thought I was independent. We talked about whether there was a future for us. It wasn't the romantic conversation I'd imagined during the drive to her parents' house months ago. It was careful and honest and sometimes painful. I don't know if I can come back to your city, she said. I don't know if I can face the people who watched your mother destroy my career and did nothing. I don't know if I can trust that world again. I'm not asking you to, I told her. That world can go to hell. I'm asking if we can build something new, something that's ours. She was quiet for a long time. Then, I need time. I need to finish this program. I need to prove to myself that I can build a career without it being held hostage to someone's approval. Can you give me that time? However long you need, I said. We're not together, not officially, but we talk every few days now. Sometimes about serious stuff, sometimes just about our days. Last week she sent me a photo of a housing project she's working on for class. Yesterday I sent her a meme about logistics that made her laugh. It's not fixed. We're not fixed, but it's something. The other day she asked me what I would have done if she'd come to me that night after the lunch with my mother, if she'd told me everything. I would have fought, I said immediately. I would have fought my mother, protected your project, told my whole family to go to hell. I know, she said softly. That's why I couldn't tell you, because you would have burned every bridge and part of you would have wondered if I was worth it. You were, I said. You are. Maybe, she said. But now you've chosen to burn those bridges anyway. Not for me, for yourself. That's different. That means when we figure this out, if we figure this out, it's not because you sacrificed something for me. It's because we both chose to be better than the situations we were handed. I think about my mother sometimes, about how she thought she was proving Taylor was after money, but really she was just proving that she'd raised a son who didn't know how to recognize love when he saw it. She thought she was protecting me. Instead, she taught me exactly what kind of protection I don't need. Taylor didn't take money to leave me. She took money to save us both from my mother's ongoing manipulation. She was wrong to do it alone, but I was wrong to believe the worst of her so easily. I'm learning to love differently now, without conditions, without testing, without weapons. Whether Taylor and I end up together or not, I'm grateful for what she taught me, that sometimes the people who love you most are the ones who walk away to protect you, and that recognizing that kind of love means being willing to build the kind of life where they'd never have to leave again. I'm working on becoming that person. The rest, we'll figure out as we go. Edit. For everyone asking, yes, my mother knows I know everything. I sent her one final email before blocking her completely. Just told her I knew what she'd done, what Taylor had done with the money, and that I was done. She tried to call my business partner to explain her side. He told her I'd asked him not to accept those calls and hung up. I love that man.